Hello again, Howard Baxton here. In this video, we're going to take a look at how we might put our animations in the nPose pad rather than in a temp attached print, say something like a coffee or a drink or something, a sipping script. So let's take a look at this pad we've got really quick. It's temp attach, and we're going to use the Robin Wood animations. If you don't have those, I can get them to you. Robin's actually given me permission to go ahead and distribute those for people who might need them. So let's take a look at what's in here. We have an initialization of 4 seats. Our set colon default card is the default card for this build. nPose is going to use that for the default. And we have one of the options turned on. It's to default, which and it's turned on. Okay, so what happens here is when everybody stands, there's no sitters at all after they've left, nPose is going to run the default card and bring everything back to a known norm, so to speak. So it's ready for new setters when they come along. So it will actually basically reset all of your poses and what have you and get you back to the default, which is, it's a cool option, and I use it on almost every build that I ever make. Okay, and here's our default card, and we've got actually 2 cards in here, which I'm going to use for sipping coffee. One for where seat 1 is the only one that can see this, so sip coffee in your right hand is for seat 1, and sip coffee left hand is going to be for seat 2. So let's take a look at what's in there. We've got our examined line, and we're going to use the sit crossed animation or pose or whatever you want to call it for seat 1. And I took a look at this, and we're using the meditation for the default code or default card, and I don't remember ever in any history seeing pictures or videos or personally anyone drinking coffee while meditating. So I went ahead and switched over to this sit crossed pose. And if you remember back a couple of lessons in our we res a prop, it's the basic chair, and we're actually going to sit on it with sit crossed, and when you unsit, the prop group in group 1, which is where we res the chair as a prop group 1, is going to die. Okay, so that's where we start. And if you don't remember what that looks like, let me sit here and click for touch to get the menu and go to coffee and sip right. There we are. The chair reses, and I'm sitting in the chair. So given that, when I go back to default, everything's meditate. So what we're going to do is go ahead and build on this, and we're going to use the 4 animations which come in the Robin Wood package. There's some scripts that run these if they're standalone, but we're not going to be standalone. We're going to let nPose do the posing. So in the right hand, we're going to use sipping and sip rest loop. Okay, what's happening here with both of these is the sit rest loop is a looping animation, and sipping is not. It's open-ended, so it runs and then stops. So we have to do something special with the sipping. But the sit rest loop, we can go ahead and let's copy that name. We'll edit this number 1 again, and we're going to go ahead and add that as a second animation to run. So we'd put a comma in here and then paste the sit rest loop animation in there. Now nPose will run both of these animations when they run, but we need to do something special here for sipping. So we can save that. We can take a look at it when we go to sip right. There you go. You see my right hand is cocked up and ready for the coffee. So that means we just need to res our cup. So do we have cup in here? No, we don't. So let's go ahead and add a cup. I think I've got them in objects. I do. We have the nPose cup left and nPose cup right. I just kind of threw a quick cup together, so these are mesh and they're full perm and they have steam and all that neat stuff. So we've got those. Let's put them in here, and let's go over here and let me grab a line that we're going to use in our right hand. So I'm going to res a prop, and we're going to do it on sit. So if there's no sitter in seat 1, it's not going to res the prop. Okay, so prop and then nPose cup R, and we're just going to res it out there in the middle. We're going to put it in prop group 1, just like this one is. And that prop is meant to move, so we don't want it to report every time it moves. So we're going to turn it quiet. And there's one more line we need, which is prop 2. We're going to do the temp attach. It's the nPose cup right again, and it is in group 1, and the command is temp attach, and we want this to use the key for the sitter in seat 1. So that's what one.key does. I think we could probably get away with just AV key rather than one.key, but that's alright. We'll go ahead and do this anyway, because sitter 1 is the only one that can see that. If you're in seat 1, you can see it. Sitter 1 is the only one that's going to be there. So AV key grabs the key of the menu user. One.key grabs the key of the sitter in seat 1. So either one works. I would use one.key if we had like a couples pose up here, so we had seat 1 sitter and a seat 2 sitter. This is the seat we wanted to grab. So if either seat 1 or seat 2 clicked this button, it would still give the temp attach command to the sitter in seat 1. Anyway, I digress here a little bit. Okay, so now what's this look like? Look up reses, we get the permission screen. There we go. And now we have to click to get back into the menu and go to the coffee. Still a little rough yet. We can fix that really quick by putting these 2 lines in, which are to shut off the menu, and the other one is to wait 10 seconds and then give the menu. Before we left this blank and brought up the root menu, but here we gave it a path to set coffee submenu. Okay, so let me save that. We'll see what happens here. This thing took over again. Let me go ahead and grab that cup. Let's do the sit right. Come on. At any rate, it gives us that, and in 10 seconds it's going to give us the menu back to this sub-menu. See? There we go. That's what I was trying to get to. Okay, now that's all that's happening. Somehow we need to run this sipping animation. There's another way to add or run a layered animation. And let me grab a couple more lines and we'll prop them in here. Now, we have an overlay command. Okay, an overlay command is actually going to bypass everything we do in the exam line and go directly to and start an animation for this avatar. There's our start, and we're going to name it sipping. And then it requires a second line because since we're bypassing all of the nPose stuff here and going directly to the animation, once we're done we need to stop it. Now this animation sipping runs once and then it dies, but it does not remove that command from the script that's running it, so we have to remove that as well. So we have to stop it, and we use the overlay again and just to stop and give it sipping. So we've got to start sipping and we've got to stop sipping. Okay, so that's what we have to do. It'll give you trouble on down the line. I mean, the sipping script will stop, but later on down the line, that's what's going to happen. It's going to get in your way because we didn't turn it off. So make sure you turn it off. You have to manage them yourself. Okay, now we've grabbed the cup. Everything's cool. And it waits 15 seconds before it does anything. It should have went sipping. Maybe I have to run the card. That's interesting. Oh, I know why. We need another plug-in for this. So we need to get out of that, go down into 4.01, and we put in our facial and layering. That's an overlay script. So we need to have that in our contents, so let me add that. And then there's one more thing we really need to do. Inside this guy, we are using overlay as the command. We need to set up a plugin command for overlay. So let me paste that in there. And we have to tell it which link message number to use. And that link message number is -218. So we'll have to include that in there to get this all to work. Now that's interesting. Why didn't my chair die? Let's go back to default. I think things got really confused. Let's detach all of that. Let's go ahead and get rid of this menu. Let's go ahead and reset scripts because that shouldn't have happened. Something got in the way and something got confused. Okay, we're in default. So let's touch this guy. Go to coffee. Click it now and see what happens. We get the temp attach thing. We did see him sip it. His arm went up and tried to sip before I got the coffee cup attached. Let's see if it runs again. I think there's a 15-minute delay between. He didn't. So let's add another one of these. Actually, let's take a look here. Our timer is set for 4 seconds. So it immediately ran. And I didn't even get the cup assigned. So let's add another one in here. This one here is set for 15 seconds to run the sipping. So after we sit, we wait 15 seconds and we start the sipping. And then 4 seconds later at 19, we'll stop it. So let's go ahead and save that. Now this is going to get all messed up again because it likes to run that card. Okay, we saw the first one, his arm went up. I saw it. Menu comes back. And we wait another 5 seconds, 10 seconds actually, 11 seconds. He sips again. Okay. So there you see it. And that's all you're going to see. Nothing else is going to happen. Because this is a one-shot thing. It's not looping, so it's only going to run one time. So, let's go down here and add another one of those. Now, after 30 seconds from the time we sit, this one's going to run and start the sipping again. 4 seconds later, it's going to stop it again. Okay, so that's cool. So you're getting the idea here. So let's go on down this guy and add a couple more. So there we go. And then at 45 seconds, again, we start sipping, and 4 seconds later we stop. And again at 60 seconds, okay? Now let's do something really special and put an end to this thing. We're just going to do an nPose say, link message 5000. It's going to call out your name if you're setting in seat 1. And it says you drank every drop. Time for another with a question mark. Okay, let's go ahead and do one more thing. I don't know if you have this or not, but if you don't, I will certainly put it in the instruction card, or I'll share it in class. nPose say. It's a little script that it's a plugin that actually allows you to chat in local. And the usage. If you want to chat to the owner only, you give it a tilde and then O at the end of your message. If you want an IM, you give it a tilde and the IM at the end of your message, and then another pipe, and then you have to put the user's ID in there. Something like, what we would do is %1.key %, and that would do it. Or chat to the menu user. This one would actually work with us. At the end of your message, put a tilde I in there, I think, or an L, probably a lowercase L. No, I. That's an uppercase I. Okay, and that will work and use the user's, the menu user's name, the one that clicked the menu. And yeah, that will work as well as this one, providing the UID. So here's another one, chat on any channel except chat 0, and you have to give it a tilde R and then a tilde channel. Which channel do you want to chat on? Okay, and if you just want to chat in local chat, it's just link message 5000 and forget any tilde and add on. And that's the one we're going to use, I believe. Yeah, that's the one we're going to use. So this is going to just chat in local. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. And let's watch it run. There's our cup. There's our message. There we go, got the cup. And it's going to run for 60 seconds. And we'll watch it and see what happens. I don't know how many times that is. 3? I think we got 2 more. Nope. Must have been 3 more. That should finish it. Right? There's my message. nPose tester, you have drank every drop. Time for another one. And if you want another one, you can go ahead and click the zip copy again. You'll have to accept the permissions again. And away you go. Now, I'm not going to go through the second one for seat 2, but let me go ahead and get a copy of all this. Put it in here. Should be like that. C2, we resident in group 2. We're using 2.key to get the UID for the sitter in C2. And everything down here is 2 as well. And this line is exactly the same. It's going to grab the display name for the menu user, I believe, is how that worked out. I'm not sure. Anyway, it comes up with the right one. So if I were to go up here and click on utilities and change seats to seat 2, and then go up here and click on coffee, we get the left hand this time. So now you saw how many lines were in there, and you saw it took a while for this thing to get going. So the more lines you have in there on the first one, it's going to read the note card and then put it into cache, and then once it's saved to cache, everything comes through. Now I'm setting in seat 2, and the same thing should happen. So you guys can all do the second one. I'm not going to get too excited about it. Or I think I'm going to go ahead and just give you a copy of this finish so you can see how it's done. And we'll go from there. So that's how we would do this if our, there's my second message. So coffee's all done now. But this is how we'd have to do something if our sipping script, like Robin Woods has done, is not looping. Okay, so we had to do something. And in this note card, we could have done another thing. We could have detached the coffee and tried to stop the sit rest. I'm not sure how that would work if I tried to stop the sit rest, which was started in the anim or the X-anim line. So that would be kind of an experiment, but somehow I just chose this to end it. So rather than experiment, because I knew this would work. Okay, and now we're going to go on to yet another way where we don't use all these overlay commands that are in the note card. All of these overlay things go away. What I did was Contacted a good friend who's an animator and begged and pleaded to have an animation that was looping but included the sit rest loop and sipping combined. So she was good enough to get that to me, and we'll take a look at that one now. It should be a whole lot easier, right? Well, you're going to have to wait and see because it gets a little bit more difficult. I took advantage of the opportunity to give you a introduction to our next instruction card. Okay, in this section we've got another pad over here. This pad's going to act a little bit different, and you can see here are the animations that we worked out. There are 2 female animations and there are 2 male animations. The 2 female are left and right, and the male are left and right also. What we did here was we tried to tweak the animations because of shoulder width and arm length and what have you. Female animations are definitely different than the male animations. We tried to do that and use just 1 cup. We did a fairly good job, so I'm going to leave it at that. We could have actually made we just have the left and right cup, and they should match up pretty dang close with the animations. We could have made a male and a female left and a male and a female right, and res the correct cup and adjust it a little bit closer, but for that now we're just going to let it go. And we have our 2 sip coffee left and sip coffee right animation or poses. I think in this one I did not go with sit crossed. I just used the meditation, and over in this pad, which we just saw, we did use this sipping in the chair and all that. But this one I think I just left it at meditation. We can take a look at that if you're ready. Don't get too excited. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and like I said, this is an introduction to what we're going to do next. Just to warn you, we've only got 2 of these guys, one's for left and right, and that covers both male and female. So inside the note card, we're going to make the decision as to which animation to run. The male left, male right. We're going to sort all of that out inside the note card. Okay, so we only have 1 note card for each. Either you're going to do a left hand or a right hand. We're going to sort out gender inside the note card. A little lead up to that. Let's look in the init card. Okay, we've got our default. We've got our set default card as a default. 4 seats. And then we've got a bunch of stuff down here. What this is actually doing is setting up a whole bunch of macros. And first of all, if you're going to be a female in seat 1, the menu user has to be from seat 1, and MS1, which is male sit 1, is going to have a not in there, so it's not MS1. What happens is the function I use to go out and get the gender is set up such that if it's a male, the value I get is 1. If it's female, the value I get is 0. So if I wanted male, let's go out here to male 1. You see MS1 is just a straight MS1. Over here, we put the not sign in front of it, so we're looking for the 0 here, and we're looking for the 1 here. Okay, so female 1 is 1, and it must be a not male. Over here, M1 is, the menu user is in seat 1, and we're looking for a male. That is what the definition of M1 is. So we have a F1 for female, M1 for male, and we have F2 for female, and M2 for male. Okay? And I did up to 5 seats. So each one of these is for a seat. And this one only has 4, so we'll never get to 5. You could probably remove that one and have save some memory. So I just made these. Down here I only went to 4. So if we're M1 is true, M2 is true, or M3 is true, or M4 is true, then we have a male. Okay, and the same with female. Okay, so we're actually using that macro or the value of that macro to say male. So at M1 or at M2 or at M3 or at M4, then we're male. And we do the same for the female. Female is described as any one of those things. And each one of these is looking for a sitter in that particular seat and the gender status. So that's what makes up these guys. It's pretty cool. These are macros. And you're going to get into that and hear about it in the next instruction card anyway. So this is just an introduction. So you don't get confused. That's kind of a quick way to see what we do. Now, how do we harvest those? Let's look in the coffee left. Okay, we've got our plug-in menu void because I don't have an experience key, and then the remenu. That's all there. Okay, so we have an exam line, which means the menu user is in seat 1, and we're using at M1. Okay, so let's take a look at this again. We have a macro named M1. To harvest that M1 as a Boolean, we use the at M1. Okay, so we have an exam line with permissions like this. And if this is true for seat 1, then we're going to go ahead and do it. And it's going to run the meditation pose, and it's going to run this drinking arm overlay M male 003 left, which is this one right here. It's going to run that animation. And if it's a female, we're going to run the meditation, and we're going to use the F006 left, which would be this one. So depending on whether the sitter is a male or the female, we have an exam line for them to run. And I did the same thing in seat 2, 3, and 4. Okay, just so you know. And here I've got 4 different ways to res the same cup. Okay, and these are singles poses, so if sitter 1 clicks the menu, we actually use this one. If sitter 2 clicks the menu, we actually use this line, and so on and so forth. And I've set the group numbers to match the seat numbers so that when they die, we can just kill the one we want to kill, not everybody's. And the same with the prop do for temp attach. We're changing the key. And the menu user has to be seat 1 for this line to run. Same here. So with all that on unsit, we don't really care. It just sends it out there, and if it's there, it dies. If it's not there, it doesn't die. It's just sending out into blank space. Okay, so that's all this. So no matter whether you're male or female, if you sit in seat 1, you're going to get the animation that you need. And you're going to get the cup you need, and it's going to attach to you. And if you stand or change poses, yours will die. Pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. I don't have any clue how you would attempt to do something like this in AvSitter, so you're kind of on your own. So let me get rid of that menu because I think it's for this one. Let me go ahead and sit here, and when I touch, I have the coffee. Now I have the choice of left or right. I can choose left. You get the same reaction. Cup attaches, left goes. Now this is a looping animation, so it's all controlled within the exanim line. And after, there we go, and he drinks. Now this is definitely a different animation than what Robin Wood gives us, and you might like it better, you might not. At any rate, this is continuous. When we have our drinking animation here, in with the meditation, in the exanim line, both these animations run. And it's controlled by the exanim line. So if we go back to default, for instance, the cup goes away, and the animation goes away as well. So if we go to right hand, in other words, this guy goes, cup goes over here, and my avatar does not have hands that are bento controlled. So you see my hands are splayed. Sorry about that. That's the way that goes. Okay. I think that's all I have. That pretty much, we explained how to do this. The note card for the right is exactly the same, only it's using the other cup and attaches to the other hand. Okay, onward. Thanks for watching. See you next time.